Stay away from your sister. She has human papillomavirus. I'm guessing you never heard your mom say that as a kid. Human papillomavirus is not a communicable childhood disease like chickenpox that can be spread among friends just playing games, hanging out, or being kids. Vaccination should not be available to children, but reserved for adults who are better equipped to understand its implications, risks, and benefits. Human papillomavirus, or HPV, is the most common sexually transmitted infection according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Genital HPV fact sheet states HPV is so common that nearly all sexually active people at some point in their lives will contract the disease. The major push for Gardasil, the vaccine that prevents HPV, has been prevention of cervical cancer. Interestingly, the CDC fact sheet notes that few women actually contract cervical cancer. Education regarding HPV is prevention and how it's spread, and the risks of this and other STIs should be the mainstay of prevention among teens rather than a vaccination that can cause immediate and long-term risks. Gardasil should not be used as a primary form of prevention for HPV. The risks of Gardasil versus other common vaccines is just too high. The Vaccine Adverse Events Reporting System from 2006 to 2009 data shows that Gardasil is 12.5 times more likely to cause hospitalization. 10 times more life-threatening events were reported, and 26.5 times more disability reports were made. So here, Gardasil had 1,444 hospitalizations versus 305 with Menactra, which is the vaccine that prevents meningococcus. So there were 269 life-threatening events. Here there are 71, and 456 disability reports versus only 46 with Menactra. Also, Gardasil does not even necessarily prevent sexually transmitted diseases such as HPV. Actually, it's not necessary to prevent STDs. STI education can be provided through schools, clubs, and even families at home as another method of prevention. Teens who are sexually active can prevent STIs by the avoidance of risky behaviors, such as use of latex condoms, according to the American College of Obstetrics and Gynecology. Abstinence is the best and most reliable way for teens to prevent sexually transmitted infections, such as the human papillomavirus. While I do feel that Gardasil may be helpful for certain men and women in prevention of cancer-causing human papillomavirus, it's not a vaccine that should be offered or encouraged to children as young as 9 years old. A vaccination choice against diseases such as HPV could be made after the age of 18. It's been recommended that Gardasil could be as effective after exposure to HPV as before. This is from information from the Association of Reproductive Health Professionals. So if it's not necessary that you get the HPV vaccine before exposure, there's really not that need to give it to teens before they become sexually active, as some of the propaganda and advertisements for Gardasil have suggested. Also, according to the CDC, cervical cancer is most common in women over 30. So again, children ages 9 to 18 aren't really at risk for cervical cancer, so they don't need to be protected against HPVs that can cause cervical cancer. So what can we do? Well, the beginning for me would be to pass legislation that just prevents vaccine for these kids ages 9 to 18 with Gardasil. We could petition Congress to stop allowing Gardasil to be given to children ages 9 to 18. Usually the range when pediatricians suggest it is 9 to 12. But if we petition Congress, there's a website, whitehouse.gov, that details the steps of how to petition the Congress, and you can do it online totally. So once you create a petition, you can try to get signatures, and if you get 100,000 signatures in 30 days, those signatures would be reviewed by the White House, And then if the White House, whatever decision the White House makes, they'll send an email to everyone who signed the petition. Taking action against the vaccination of children for HPV is a necessary step to protect children from exposure to potentially dangerous events that could be caused by the Gardasil vaccine. While rapid spread of HPV is a cause for serious concern, it's not a common disease that children can contract just by being kids. Petitioning Congress to pass legislation against vaccination of children for STIs such as HPV is the best way to stop the unnecessary and potentially dangerous vaccination. So I urge any of you who have children or may be under 18 yourselves to just research the vaccine, research HPV, and decide for yourself what's the best choice for you and your children. I additionally appeal each of you to strongly consider speaking to your lawmakers when given the opportunity, or sign a petition that may exist in your area to create laws to protect our children from unnecessary vaccines such as Gardasil.